everyone. Thank you for being here today. My name is Isra, and I'll be sharing some key learnings from our research on trauma and violence informed approaches within youth sport for development contexts. And this project is led by doctors Lyndsay Hayhurst and Francine Darroch, alongside our great research team and community partners. And overall, this work aims to understand and improve sexual and gender based violence prevention in youth sport, to support survivors and all youth, essentially, to create safer, inclusive, and accessible experiences. So, through our work with our community partners, as well as interviews with SFD NGOs across Canada, three key learnings emerged that helped us think differently about youth's participation in sport. So first, treating all youth the same can unintentionally exclude young people. So many programs that we found assume all youth experience sport similarly, but our findings show that intersecting identities like gender, race, class, and trauma influence how youth access and experience sport spaces. And what feels safe or welcoming to one youth may not essentially translate to another youth. And so overall, inclusion requires intentionally designing programs that reflect diverse realities and needs, and to move away from the so-called universalizing program designs. Second, transportation and commuting to and from programming is often an overlooked site of safety and participation. So SFD programs are often framed as safe spaces, but less attention is paid to what youth experience before they even get to the program. So, for some youth, the journey to and from programming may involve fear or even violence in some cases. And these experiences do shape how they show up and engage and participate when they come to the program. So, in short, the journey to programming is just as relevant, if not more impactful, than the journey within the program itself. And finally, programs should be rooted within communities. So, for example, we found that delivering programs with communities and in partnership with community services, such as social housing sites, can increase youth access to sporting spaces. And ultimately, community rooted programming can also strengthen family relationships and overall creates a culturally responsive space for youth. And based on these learnings, our work points towards two key actions. So, first is supporting gender responsive programming. And this calls for moving beyond generic methods and designing programs that consider diverse gendered experiences. And in practice, this involves using inclusive language or creating spaces suited to various safety needs or offering coach training on gender diversity and trauma informed practices. And overall, organizations need help in transitioning from awareness to action and implementation. And the second action is supporting safer access to sport programs. So, organizations should ask youth about their commuting experiences and transportation barriers and recognize that these issues, such as lateness or disengagement from the program, may not be due to a lack of motivation, but can actually be because of structural realities. And in practice, programs must be scheduled at locations and at times that youth find safe and accessible, for example. And ultimately, if we are serious about creating safe and inclusive sport spaces, we must pay attention to how the systems, the environments, and the journeys determine whether youth can access them in the first place. And as I kind of come to a close, I do want to leave us with this reflection question emerging from this work. How can youth sport organizations move beyond compliance based safeguarding efforts and strengthen their organizational capacity to support youth survivors of sexual and gender based violence and all youth participants to have more positive, safer experiences in sport for development programming? And this question is important because many organizations want to support youth, but they have limited funding and staffing, and they often rely on volunteers. So the challenge is not just asking organizations to do more, but how researchers and policymakers can better support them in building capacity to care for youth. And just as I quickly close, we do have multiple knowledge mobilization initiatives coming through this work. We have a few research reports in queue, as well as some publications. And I would like to mention that on June 2nd in Toronto, we are doing a community event with our partner, Nutmeg Soccer. And on June 3rd, we are also having a community event titled Movement Matters in Ottawa with our community partner there, Presidential Basketball. Thank you so much, everyone.